Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Boatfeed, presented by MUSTO, the official clothing provider for the Volvo Ocean Race, and INMARSAT, the official satellite communications partner, and doing all sorts of cool things for the Volvo Ocean Race. We'll get into both of those guys soon, but thank you to INMARSAT and MUSTO for helping to bring this first episode of a very exciting new series to you and the world. You may know this guy from his time sailing around the world and winning the Volvo Ocean Race and winning the Media Crew Award. You have that watch on that you won for that thing? No. And America's Cup with the SoftBank Team Japan, and really one of the nicest guys you ever want to meet, but also one of the most experienced pros in such a short time in the sport of sailing, Matt Knighton. And Matt, thank you for helping to create the Boatfeed with me.
Glad to be here.
Is your idea?
This is awesome. Well, I think that it was both of our ideas in the end, right? Like I think, look, here's the thing. The Volvo is something that I love. Obviously, amongst all the projects I've ever done, it's the nearest to my heart and what I love. And the thing is the content that's created during this race. It really deserves its own its own critique and its own discerning eye. You know, the people that are producing the media around this race really are artists, and so I think it's great to highlight that and see what's coming off, what's working, what's not, and just dive into it a little bit.
At the end of the day, one of the problems that we've all identified, and everyone who's tried to follow this race identified, is the sheer volume of video, audio, photos, stories coming out, not only from each boat, but from the race organizers, from the sponsors. It's a bit chaotic.
Yep.
And there are literally thousands of pieces of content that will come off, that will be officially coming out of like some official partner or the event itself. And navigating that can be really difficult. And actually, it's the kind of thing where if you miss a few days, it can take so long to catch up that it's hard to get back into the race sometimes.
Well, and the thing is that with this race, I'm sure everybody's already noticed it, but some of the changes that came around for this race is having all the raw content at your fingertips, being pushed out, which has never been done before, really. And so there's just I'm amazed at the amount of content that people have to sift through right now. It's pretty damn impressive, if I do say so. Like it is really cool if you're a huge connoisseur of the race, like many of us are, just to be able to see what's coming off. In its purest form, unedited, exactly how the OBR or now the crew communicators what the crew actually wants to see. So there's a lot to sift through. How do you make sense of it all? And I'm excited about it.
Well, and I think, Matt, the reason it's important is that of all the races out there, of all the big events out there in the entire world of sailing, when it comes to media output and media impressions, the Volvo is actually the big dog. Yeah. And this is in part historic. I mean, the Whitbread was always a huge crowd favorite. The iceberg videos back in the 80s, I mean, were massive and were put on news stories around the world. It's always been that really dramatic race. So there's lots of great content. But also, since the 2005 race, the Volvo, that's 12 years now, the Volvo has done a very targeted job at building something no one else has, which is a dedicated core of media people whose job it is to share this amazing sport that's very tough to share and very tough to shoot with the world.
Yeah, I mean, there's nowhere else that embeds a journalist within a team for this long. I mean, it was funny, after the last race, actually before the end of the last race, there was a guy from NASA that came out and contacted Ian Walker and was like, wanted to do a research study on the team because it's the only situation where a confined group of individuals is put through strenuous circumstance for such a long time. And so they're obviously looking at it for, their Mars research. How do people cope? And putting an OBR in the middle of that, Volvo pioneered that. There's no other sport that's really done that. And I think in some ways, I mean, it's into, the fourth race that they've done that now? So it's still, by many ways, in its infancy. They're still figuring out how to make it work right. Certainly last race, I think we made some awesome breakthroughs. And then seeing the first leg here, it's been pretty cool, where it's evolved to, I think.
For me personally, Matt, I mean, I for the same 12 years now, 13 years, my mission, my goal in the journalism that I've done, the reporting that I've done, the video coverage that I've done, has always been to take what I see sailing as, which is a very exciting sport, full of youth and exuberance and adrenaline and competition, but like share that excitement with the world and use it to try and help a sport recover that is at historic lows, especially in America, but in many countries around the world. So to look at the Volvo and try and shape or critique or analyze what they're putting out, and then pass that out to you guys around the world so that you can share it with your friends. That's our goal here. Our intent is to do one of these analysis pieces, boat feed shows after each leg. We've got 10 legs in this race. Leg 1's done. The boats are in Lisbon, getting ready to head off to Cape Town, and so this is show number 1. Show 2 will be right after, or sometime after Cape Town finish and before the start. And we'll do that all the way around the world, and hopefully we'll be able to go on location. I think the next one we'll try and have an OBR or 2 call in and do a little Skype.
I love that idea.
Interview with them as well.
Yeah, we'll see how it's really going.
I think maybe Carlin will be in the first one.
I'm not sure about that. We might have to edit that part out.
I mean, obviously, it's from your aspect and your point of view. You've been there, you know the whole game. From my aspect, I've been covering this thing for so long, and the Volvo really is my first ever professional job covering sailing. Was the 2005 Volvo. So it's easy to read between the lines and see what's going on behind the scenes. At the same time, we don't know everything at all. So be sure to let us know at Boatfeed on Twitter.
Do we own that?
Sign up for a quick. No, don't you?
Anyway, this isn't going out live. We'll be able to snag it before
there you go. All right.
Don't worry.
It'd be fun to use that though. Anyway, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Let us know what you think. Let us know what we did right, what we did wrong. Let us know what you want us to cover. Let us know if you have a great nominee for the video of the leg. Before we get there though, you don't normally see a guy who crushed it and is young and could go get it. I'm sure had multiple offers to do the next race and isn't taking the work. I mean, what happened? Are you gutted that you're not out there? What's the story?
Look, I would love nothing more than to be offshore right now. It's clearly it's one of my most favorite things in the world to shoot, if not the most. And the last race was just awesome. It's got such good memories, not just of the shooting, but also, the friendships you build through the race. There's nothing like it. But for me, I just have a 9-month-old daughter. She was born in January. And, with a young family, having gone through the race last time, it was time right now to just take a step back, slow things down, enjoy being a dad. And who knows what's going to happen for the next race? Who knows what could happen for this race? But, I'm in a good place right now and happy to be taking the work that's outside the Volvo that was started by the Volvo. That's just been fantastic the past, 2 years. So, it's really kind of a win-win, but yeah, for sure. There's a part of me that watches the stuff coming off these boats and misses it a little bit. Yeah,
but then you get to play with your baby, and you're raising her too. It's not like you're shuffling her off to
nice.
grandma's house every day.
It's nice being a freelancer. You're able to spend some good time at home.
Good for
you.
Having experienced that myself, I can say it's not bad. Before we get to an explanation of, we're going to go through exactly what's coming out of Volvo and off the boats. But before we get there, first off, I want you to head over to MUSTO.com and check out the Volvo Ocean Race collection. They have some incredible stuff. And I got to tell you, I had my Volvo Ocean Race jacket on as I was waiting for you outside the train station. And I was very, very dry. And actually, you know what? It was a question for you. Because most of the teams, as usual, are on MUSTO, and it's the official provider for the race itself and all the gear they use. You went around the world, I think, pretty hard, working pretty hard, and in some really bad conditions. And I saw you up on the bow getting doused, underneath 8 feet of water. Were you always happy with your MUSTO gear?
Kit worked great. Yeah. I mean, there's a reason why so many teams are wearing it, right? And I couldn't have been happier with it. There was a layer for every single season on board, I felt like, and I think we only changed out the sets of foulies actually once. Before it was strategic. We changed it out in Auckland before the Southern Ocean Lake, so we had brand new kit. But other than that, it works out great if you only have to change it once during a race.
Also, INMARSAT, they've been a partner of the race for a long, long time now. And I think the most interesting thing about INMARSAT is that it's not just that they're getting all the data off the boats with this incredible satellite system. It's that it's a really important safety tool. Explain why that is.
Well, I mean, it does two things, like you just said. It handles the safety for the crews, right? So you have multiple communications and satellite devices on the boat for, if a team, worst comes to worst, if you need to be rescued, or if you need to send out a message and one piece of kit's not working, there's redundancy built into it. And then obviously it goes into actually broadcasting the OBR and the crew communicator content off the boat. All those domes on the back of the boat actually mean something, believe it or not.
And they do amazing stuff now. Amazing stuff.
And don't get too close to them, or else they're going to fry some important cells in your body.
If you've already had kids,
there is actually an orange stripe on the deck of the Volvo 65s. It's a perimeter around the dish that you have to stay out of if one of them's turned on.
Unless you've already had kids and you don't need to worry about it anymore.
That's exactly right. Yep.
All right. Well, cool stuff. Thanks again to our sponsors, and we'll be talking about them more along the course of this Volvo Ocean Race. But Matt,
what do you want to do? You want to dig in?
Before we dig in, let's talk about what exactly we're digging into, because from edition to edition, it changes substantially. So tell me what you see as like sort of the 4 or 5 things, the multimedia that the Volvo is actually pushing out, how they're doing.
Well, I mean, look, this race is a little bit different than the last race with this raw content feed. So you're looking at OBR content coming off the boat. You're looking at crew communicator content. So now the crew can actually post to their Twitter and Instagram accounts, which is pretty cool.
And they can post videos or pictures too?
Yes, they can. Okay. And they can't. And so that's raw. Right, and that's another perspective.
Does that go through Volvo at all, or does that go straight onto the web?
It goes straight onto the web.
But it's only one way, right?
It's only one way. You can't talk back to them, and that's for obvious reasons.
Well, you can talk to their account, but they can't.
But they won't see it until they get back to shore. Which hey,
I like it.
They shoot them a message and see what you get.
In
20 days time.
I like it.
Then you've got Facebook Lives and some of the live shows, which have just been great.
Now that's being produced by, again, completely different from the last editions. It's been moved entirely in house under Leon Sefton. They're doing the import races, the starts, the finishes, and then, as we saw in Gibraltar, some really cool stuff that I've been begging for years. So thank you, guys. That was so cool. We'll talk about that more, but the live feeds, there's also some more polished, like the 3-minute highlight reel from Leg 1.
But let's highlight that a lot of this stuff wasn't possible in the last race, right? I mean, Facebook Live, that wasn't a thing. There was Periscope. And so we started periscoping. That's a Twitter platform for those of you that don't know what it is.
It was huge for like 5 minutes.
That's right. And those 5 minutes is when we were in Newport, Rhode Island. So we were periscoping during the import race, and it was cool as hell.
I remember.
So that has changed now, and that's changed the game dramatically. You can produce. You don't have to go through their normal broadcast routes. You can shoot it straight through your social channels. This crew communicator is amazing. Last race we had a team Twitter account that we could post to from a phone on board, and that was it. And so the guys at Livewire that set up all of the boats for what they do from media side and how they output that have done remarkable work getting that stuff set up, and I think it's going to be pretty cool. Right on.
All right, so that's what we're going to look at. We're going to see what was good, what was bad, what was awesome, what we want to see a lot more of, and let's get into it. I love that they're doing the raw feed. It's a step towards what I want, which is just 24-hour cameras with people doing funny stuff. I want live all the time.
It's a lot of footage to sort through.
It's been my dream forever. It's just where you can just click anytime you want during the race and see exactly where they are, what they're doing, and every 4 hours someone comes and talks, and Anyway, this is a step in that direction, but. We went through these and I actually spent the entire train ride watching them on the way over. 133 videos, I think.
Yep.
There's a lot of videos.
A lot. And I just want to say something about that real quick. The level of sheer content that the OBRs are producing right now is mind-blowing. Yeah. I mean, last race we would send off daily. We'd send off a 2-minute boat feed to be edited, so it was a rough cut basically. You would send 5, 6, 7 edited photos, and then you would send a race blog, and that's what we would do every 24 hours. I mean, these guys are sending off small video clips, they're sending off large edited pieces, they're sending off tons of photos. They've done away with the race blog, the writing, which frees up some of their time on board. But yeah, just blown away by how much content these guys are pushing out. Maybe it's just a short leg and they were, you know, raring to go. Maybe it's going to taper down as these legs get longer, but
I think it already started. I think
You know.
actually it started to taper down. Maybe not in frequency, but I think in sort of working for the stories.
Yeah.
You could sense if you watched it like I did from the first to the last. There was you could just feel it start to fall off.
Yep.
On maybe the 5th day or whatever it was.
Yep.
And then only a few really standouts happened after that. Here's the thing. In the research that I did, I came up with like 16 videos that I really thought were instructive or I really liked.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have time to go through them all, obviously. Yep. But that's out of 120, 30 or whatever from a really critical guy who watches videos for a living about sailing.
Yep.
So that's not bad at all.
That's great.
And there were other ones that had good points in them, but you know the problem, as you say with photography, is that you've seen it all before.
Yep.
And I think my biggest critique for probably the majority of videos, or certainly a plurality of videos that came in, was they are what I call the here we are, here they are video. You know? It's
Yeah,
like,
the race reports.
Exactly.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
And it's usually
Yep.
you know the skipper or the navigator looking out over the boat, and you can see the deck and the water and it's pretty stuff, and then there's a little tiny little white speck on the horizon, and then they say, and there we are, and here we are, and there they are, and here's what we did, and here's what we're gonna do, and bye. And then there's a little slow-mo shot, and it pains me. It
Yep.
pains me to see it. It's so cliche.
Yep.
You know, it's like Conrad said in the live feed that I loved him for. He said, you know, I think his co-commentator said something about champagne sailing, and Conrad said, "That's it. No more of that. Let's not do the yachty speak, all right?" And it's kind of like that's like the version of the yachty speak. We've all seen it before. It's only relevant for 3 hours.
Right. There's only so much that you can do, right?
Yeah.
So, but here's the thing too: is last race we didn't do much of that, and there was a reason for that. That's because everything we were putting out was either edited for TV or for social feeds, and there was requests to us not to include so much race reports. They wanted more of the created stories, and maybe curated is a better word, that were happening on board the boat. Some of them would be suggested by Volvo to create continuity amongst the OBR. Some days it was just find whatever story you can and send it in. Very few times would we actually do a race report. Now it's actually shifted to the other end where it's very easy to push out these race reports, and with raw content, that's what you're seeing right now. So I'm sure that right now in Lisbon, as they're doing their OBR debrief, they're kind of taking a look and they're saying, all right, here's what worked, here's what didn't work. I think there's always a place for those types of updates. Obviously, you want to hear about the racing, but we're going to get into some of the videos too. And I think what's really cool are the guys that are starting to go beyond that and look into these crafted stories from on board that bring out some of the personalities and the emotion of the characters.
All right. Well, for me, it's all about the characters. So I think, but before we get to that, I want to actually show you there is a place for these the race reports.
Absolutely,
I mean, they're necessary. They're just not necessary all that frequently. But if you have a really good one, that's when you do it. If something really good happened, if a lot happened in a short time, you've got it all on camera. So let's go to the first one, which comes from Vestas Wind. Or Vestas 11th hour.
So we're just approaching Gibraltar, just coming into the beginning of the strait. They got Gibraltar just on the bow here. We just tucked in by the shore, out the current, and
so real basic. You know, here we are. Here's what we're doing. And you don't want to see a lot of this.
We've got current against, and then also
another thing is, I know it's raw. There's got to be a way to do an auto lower thirds for these things. I mean, tell me his freaking name. Come on.
Yeah, that is what you miss when you get raw content.
You're killing me. Someone in the watch studio. Okay, so there's that. Keep going.
So you got Gibraltar, awesome clouds over Gibraltar, by the way.
And super, like this is the kind of thing you do a race report for when you have this stuff. Now look at this shit, right? Yeah, we've seen a lot before, but this is the first one we're seeing this race. Good rig, good speed.
Wet deck, white water over the deck. Just nuking.
Nice sun. I mean, like everything lines up perfectly. Happy sailor. That's nice stuff, right? And a little slow-mo at the end.
A little slow-mo at the end, just in case you want it.
And it's good slow-mo. Waves are good. That's what you want slow-mo for, is water.
It's amazing how many places you can find that slow-mo to work well.
Water and flags, man. And by the way, children jumping up and down.
Yep.
My daughter with the curly hair, my lord. That's the story of here they are, there we are, and I don't want to talk about those too much anymore.
What else you got?
All right, let's talk about character. Roll the first Martine Grail one.
There we go.
Conrad Frost is on board AXO with Martine, right?
Beautiful reflection in the sunglasses.
Look at how nice. Look at how sick this is. I mean, that's awesome.
It's a gorgeous shot, no
right?
doubt. Yep.
And now there's no question she is the dime piece of this regatta. Okay. Not only is she gorgeous, she is an unbelievable sailor. She is a national hero in her home country from a royal family of sailing. Okay. She looks good. She talks amazingly well. Her English is beautiful. Her accents are great. And I don't even know, like, is there a downside in the universe for Martine Grail? No. So why not get some slow-mo of her steering the boat? Awesome.
Right.
Go. Now show the next one. So as I'm going through the list of these, all of a sudden then this one pops up. I'm like, okay, more.
Oh, the dolphin shot.
I'm like, more Martine slow-mo.
The coveted dolphin shot.
And my first reaction.
There goes another one.
My first.
Oh.
Look at this. Now my first reaction was
we called those OBR porn. You can't miss the dolphins. Anytime there was a dolphin, even if I was passed out, the guys would knock on the deck just to get me.
There's another AXO video with a bird on the navigator's shoulder.
That was pretty cool.
Too. That
awesome.
was one of my favorites as well.
Yep.
But I saw this and I'm like, all right, Conrad might be crushing a little bit on Martine. But then I watched the next one. Roll the next one. So then I thought about all these reasons that you would be just going crazy to promote Martine. And there's a million reasons to promote her as hard as you can and feature her as much as you can. This one is all about her. She's driving, she's grinding, she's talking.
Yep.
And it really gets into her character now with the hat. So it's great. Hang on. So here, look at this. This is character building stuff. This is really character building stuff.
Yep.
And when you see them in succession like that.
Yep. Well, what you could do is all of a sudden, and Conrad's a broadcast guy, right? He comes from a broadcast background, which is cool because you can see what he's doing is he's starting to build a story that you could edit later.
Those moments that you think that's why I do this. It was a pretty nice downwind.
How perfect is she?
She's
a broadcaster's dream.
This is basically building up to what we were doing with Boatfeed's last race, where you have a character, maybe a complimentary interview for them. You build a story, and then you substitute B-roll into that. B-roll is just miscellaneous footage. It's an industry term, but basically you can work some slow-mo in. You can work some action shots in. You can already see it. That's what Conrad's thinking when he's doing this. Yeah. And so he's created a character, giving you all the associated shots you want with it to actually edit a really nice piece after this.
Yeah. So this is a huge win. So I started out thinking he was a little bit of a creeper, and I finished off thinking he's brilliant.
Conrad, no.
Thinking he's brilliant.
Yeah.
And I'm such a huge fan of Martine.
Yeah.
So I really like that, and I think he's on the right track for sure.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. So what else do you got clean?
All right, so the next one is, we talked about drones, and you had that nice scally shot. I looked at all the drone footage, and
we're back to scallywag.
I'm a drone junkie.
We're back to
it.
And
I've been around so many guys as they learn to fly these things, and I've been flying them myself and buying footage and paying guys who do it and working on events that are using drones and watching them fall out of the sky and hit things and get yelled at by aviation officials. I mean, anyway, I love drones, and the reason I love drones is because they get shots that helicopters can't, but I've always wanted.
Yeah. There's a Game Boy quality amongst it, kind of point it wherever you want to go.
It changes the way the sport looks substantially, and it makes it so much sexier.
Without a doubt. I mean, we can make a whole show talking about how drones have revolutionized sailing media in the past year, even.
Unbelievable.
But,
unbelievable. And
so
when I look through to see who's the best drone pilot right now.
Yeah.
Or at least who got the best drone shots this leg. And there were some good ones, but I think the guy that showed the most experience and the most understanding of what was going to look good, even in not huge breeze, was Scally Driver, which is
Jeremy.
Yeah.
I think this is great. And it goes back into the stuff we were talking about with the photos. Flying low at the beginning of that shot to the water, I mean, that's kind of risky when you've only got one. I mean, fortunately, it's only a 7-day leg.
How high do you think he is there? Like 5 meters? I mean,
less than 5, probably somewhere between 2 and 4.
So
I've done a little bit of that with these Volvo boats, and you usually want to have a spotter keeping an eye on your drone because you really don't know how big it is, and you're not usually flying line of sight. But in that case, looks like he was close enough. Maybe he was, but yeah, it's a great shot, no doubt.
Do you have you guys experimented with the POV stuff, like the goggles that you wear and drive your drones?
I've actually done a little bit with those. I haven't done them on the boat, but yeah, there's what he's talking about is you can actually wear goggles that direct the camera wherever your eyes are looking,
and so you're flying from inside the drone, basically.
Correct.
Yeah.
The Phantoms, that they're flying for the race. I'm not sure if you can do that with the Inspires, which is the bigger one that has a kind of a separate camera system. You can definitely do it with. But yeah, who knows? There'll be technology that comes out over the next 9 months, and they're going to use it on this race.
I'm sure.
I'm sure it'll blow our minds.
So there's Drone Award.
Yep.
Now next up, this is maybe in terms of character, I think this might be my favorite one of all. I think we both picked the same one, didn't we?
Yeah.
and let's just,
this is on my list as well. I'm sure it's on everybody's list.
Let's use this as an opportunity to explain something about shooting sailors, okay? Yep. The vast majority of professional sailors are not great subjects, okay? And for video, and I don't mean they're ugly or dumb or anything like that. It's just that if they've been doing this for long enough, they've answered the questions over and over again, and it takes a lot to get them to come out of their shells. And then you have the Aussies, who typically aren't so tough to get out of their shells. And so far, Scallywag has not disappointed. They've been funny. Witty is clearly a character, and everyone who's known the Sydney scene forever has known he's a character.
Yep. Well, I mean, here's the thing: it's not just sailors; it's athletes in general. They're focused on doing one thing and one thing really, really well.
Yeah, winning.
So when you ask them to be on camera, that's a second thing that they have to concentrate on. But yeah, you're right. The thing with Scallywag, and I'll say it as well with Vestas, those two teams have got tons of personalities on board. They're hilarious to watch. I know guys on both boats, and I think what you're going to see as the race goes on is that the content coming out of those teams could even get elevated a little bit further, just because these guys they don't care. They speak their minds. I mean, Scallywag, it's a team that is based out of a privately funded Maxi campaign. So these guys,
they're not worried about their next Volvo job.
That's exactly it. Yeah. So they're free to be themselves, and this video underscores that completely.
Roll it.
Really slow. Can you not tell John Fisher that I fucking think he's a fuckwit? The safety officer.
I think you might have. Oh yeah, yeah.
He measures his length of his fingernails before he goes to bed every night. What sort of a psychopath does that?
Nah.
Yeah, he does. That's him, the safety officer.
So look, like this is character building stuff. These guys are making us laugh. They're talking shit about the race, the safety officer, and they're letting it get off the boat, which is great. Like, this is what you want to see. I mean, not necessarily from everybody, but this boat is literally a boat full of characters. And I think what you'll find, Matt, is that they're going to drive more views. They're going to drive more social media if they keep doing this kind of thing.
Yeah,
they're gonna win that battle.
No, they could win the media battle, right? Like,
and that's a big battle, man.
No, it could be really cool.
It may not be as important a battle for the owner of the team as
what?
it is for a more commercial team, but
it's
they
good,
still have a big sponsor.
And it's good for the race.
Yeah, and it's good for Hong Kong
and
all that. So good on the Scallywag boys. And this is to sort of complete that point. I understand that it's not easy to get sailors to come out of their shells, but what it is, it's not that hard to find on every crew one or two guys who the camera likes and who likes the camera. Look at them go. Look at them yell at each other, laughing, making jokes.
That's the piece of the video that just sold it to me. Yeah. The fact that these guys are being themselves, and not only that, but that Jeremy had the presence of mind to record it all, and that these guys are comfortable around him filming it on camera. That's what's going to bode well for the rest of the race. Big props to Jeremy for having the presence of mind to be rolling on all that and to see it as a piece, and to see the character development that it gives. In my mind, when I was doing the race, anytime that I could get the guys laughing naturally, there's a piece that should be there, and you should sniff around.
For sure. All right, let's get into this, though. Photography, it's certainly, for me, when I think about your early career, some of the things that really stood out early on was your photography, and as you got better and moved up in the world of sailing, you know, your portrait photography was the thing that really stood out the most to me. In this sport, where well, in any sport, it's the people that make the fans, right?
Yep.
If you think about who's a fan of the NFL or the NBA or Premier League soccer, it's always because of they love a player or several players. That's how it works.
Yeah.
And that's established. There's no question about it. And in photography, like, is that what you look for when we're looking at the photos coming off of these boats in the raw feed? Are you looking at people more than or are you looking at sunsets or at dolphins? It seems hard to find something new to shoot.
Yeah, well, I mean, that you just said it right there. It's always hard to find something new on board. And not only is it hard for these guys, oh, my wife's asking what time we're going to be done. What should I tell her?
We're going out drinking after this? No, we got to go take care of your baby.
All right, so what is harder for these guys is that they've got to go through all the stuff that was done in the last race. So I'm looking at all the photos coming off the boats, and some of the stuff are just the same photos from last race purely because they're shot on the same boat. And there's natural lines that are shown on the boats, and they still look as beautiful here as they did last race, which is pretty cool. But it is hard to find new stuff every single day, and even just in a 7-day leg, I'm sure that the OBRs right now are realizing just what a challenge it's going to be over the next 9 months to figure out what they're going to be shooting. You know, you really start to get a monotony that, all right, she's wondering if she should take the train. Yes. We'll be here for a while. Okay. So it starts to all blend into each other, especially on the days when it's not wet on the deck, right? So we're going through some of the photography from this leg, and first of all, it's amazing the level of photography that I feel like it's taken another step forward even just at this race.
But when people gave you input for what you shot aboard Abu Dhabi and you won awards for it, other than what I'm telling you about your profiles and stuff, or your portraits, what did people tell you they thought was great? Like, what they want to see more of?
Here's I think fundamentally what I've heard with multiple photographers when people critique their work is that if there's a story inside the photo, and I know that that's cliche, right? But there comes a point where you could be shooting a scene, and the way you shoot it, your eyes are able to naturally pick apart parts of that photo and dive into what's going on there, and you get to know the personality of the people. The expressions on the faces is just huge. So how does that expression of the face relate to the rest of the scene? And there's lots of photos coming off the boats right now that are technically really cool. And the thing that I'm looking at is how are they breaking down the personalities in the photos? You know, what's standing out as far as the storyline that's going on in the photo, the same way that it happens in the video. Because it goes back to kind of some of the stuff that we were sorting through when we were first looking at OBR applications even. Which people are in the race for the glamour, wet, wave crashing over the boat shots? Because if that's why you're in the race, everybody's going to get a shot like that. That's going to be just, you know, a 5-star shot that people are just going to love. Center full. It's going to be awesome. The shots are hard to get are the ones of the people in a raw element when you didn't know a photographer was there and it tells a story. So that's, I think, what you're really going to start to see the wheat separate from the chaff right there. So here's a couple shots. So first we're gonna show here. So this one was one of Ugo's. He was the OBR on board Mapfre. This stood out to me more than some of the other ones, just because it's the fact that he's sitting in the boat and these guys aren't looking at him. They're just totally candid and they're being themselves. That tells to me, that speaks to me that he's able to be a part of that team, and that the guys trust him and they're able to be themselves around them. It's a candid shot. And not only that, but it was either taken in light air or during a tacking or a jibing, maneuver, just because you can see there's no stacking gear on the side of the boat that they're sitting on. So that tells me that these guys are exhausted. So for me, I mean, the composition's great. The lighting's fantastic. The light that comes through those hatches at parts of the day is just awesome for lighting down below decks. And on top of that, it is below deck. His ISO had to be cranked up super high in the camera to get this shot. So that all just kind of goes to the technicality of how he got it. It's sharp. The expression on the face is there for me. I love it.
Right on. All right. So Ugo gets a nice little mention there. What else really stood out to you?
So the other thing that stood out to me, and this is going to come out, I feel like a lot more in our commentary, Jeremy and his drone photography on Scallywag. He totally, I mean, he's going to give Sam Greenfield a run for the money, right? Sammy's a fantastic drone pilot.
Is Jerome Lecaude?
Jeremy Lecaude, yeah. I hope we're pronouncing that right. But the shot what's cool about this, not only are we getting drone photography from the middle of the ocean, what's cool is that he cranked his shutter speed down slow enough so that you're getting
speed shot, the
water flowing underneath the boat. It looks fast. And to get this angle on the boat, like from up above, while it's going at speed and while you're flying the drone, it takes a lot of presence of mind to get this type of shot.
And that's double-digit speeds for sure. That's probably
it's
15,
cool. It's really cool, and they're going to keep flying these drones off the boat faster and faster and faster. I mean, last race, a couple of us were flying them off the boats near the end of the race in pretty light air days, relatively speaking. Kept evolving from there. Obviously, we've seen what the drones can do when we were flying them behind the cup boats in Bermuda. These boats aren't anywhere near those speeds, so it's pretty comfortable to say for me that these guys are going to be flying these drones in heavier air, in heavier weather. The only thing that I think is going to be the limiting factor is how wet it is on the boat, and that could affect obviously launching, but also the actual controller. You got to be in a space where you're not getting doused on by waves.
And you can't go down below because it doesn't go through the carbon, right?
It won't perform that well in the carbon. You kind of sit in the hatchway. I was doing it with Mapfre a couple months ago, and shooting for a sponsor, and you can just tell that there's some limitations there. But I think they're going to push it, and that's what you have to find on these boats is how to push it.
How conservative can you be? Or are you just going to lose a certain number of drones? That's just how it is.
Well, I mean, it's one of those things that I hope that Volvo's got a bit of redundancy packed into the budget, because you're going to lose drones, right? I think with Team Japan we lost a couple. I know Oracle lost a couple. It just happens.
I've lost a couple.
Right, everyone has. If you're operating them over water, you get better all the time, but there's things that happen all the time. But what I do want to say is that the level is clearly risen. And like I said before, the technical expertise and the fact that these guys are already figuring out how to move around the boat and get these angles bodes well for the rest of the race.
All
So
right. Cool stuff.
Stoked.
Check us out. Make sure you like us. Make sure you subscribe below on whatever platform you're watching, and check out the Boatfeed. Share it with your friends, and come back and see us in a few weeks' time.